Bayelsa State played host to the 8th Practical Nigerian Content Forum as stakeholders in Nigeria's oil and gas industry gathered to discuss ways to improve the participation of indigenous companies across the oil and gas value chain. This year's theme focused on driving economic development and sustainability forward, and the Executive Secretary of the Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board, Simbi Wabote, shared with me the reasons for this focus.
What we're looking at is that, we've been, as a country, we've been in the oil and gas sector has been around for an upward of 60 something years over time. And to be fair to the country, a lot of progress has been made in terms of what we derive from the oil and gas industry. But the dependence on the sector is also been a challenge, in the sense that a lot of other areas that were flourishing in the past as a country have been set aside because of the petrodollar. And that has significant impact on us as a people, where, of course, the present administration is driving very hard in terms of how do we diversify the economy beyond oil. So seminars like this provided also an opportunity to different stakeholders for them to see the trend where the world is going to in terms of technology. For instance, what artificial intelligence is bringing to bear, what robotics is bringing to bear. Today, the new oil is data and data analytics. And seminars like this also open people's eye to say the world is moved on. Electric cars are becoming the in thing. And of course, you cannot generate electricity just like that if you don't have gas also. So the bulk of the electricity that will be used eventually to charge the electric cars has to come from clean energy. And clean energy is gas. So a lot of exhibitors that you saw around here also had to showcase how they are wanting to trend up with technology, in order that people see that we need to change the game in order to sustain ourselves in this business and beyond.
At the Ministry of Petroleum Resources, we are proud of Nigerian content achievements, more so that some of these achievements have stimulated other sectors like information and communication, the automobile industry, construction, and power to adapt some of our templates in their policy formulations. We are also proud that on the international scene, some African countries like Kenya, Congo-Brazzaville, and Uganda, as well as Gabon and Angola, have come to Nigeria in the past for mentorship on local content initiatives.
I want to thank the Executive Secretary and his team for returning this practical Nigerian content back to its origin and home. The story of oil and gas in our nation started from here. So, whereas we refer to places like Houston as the oil and gas capital of the world, we tell everybody, whether they like to hear or not. Sometimes there is what Al Gore calls an inconvenient truth. The truth, nevertheless, still has to be told. This state, the glory of all lands, is the oil and gas capital of Nigeria and of Africa.
Sitting at the core of the development of local content is the Nigerian Oil and Gas Industry Content Development Act that served as a springboard for local investors to take advantage of the opportunities in the sector.
Well, the Practical Nigerian Content Forum was put together after the Nigeria Oil and Gas Industry Content Development Act was put in place. We saw beforehand a real gap, and I guess the whole industry did, in having indigenous personalities or indigenous players in the oil and gas industry. And there was a real gap there, to develop capacity domestically to retain capital gain from the oil and gas businesses that we have here. And we saw a real hunger for people to convene to discuss these matters, to talk about what it would look like, what it would mean. So before we had the PNC, we had the NOG, the Nigerian Oil and Gas Conference, that had a day dedicated to local content. And that then developed to the Practical Nigerian Content Forum once we saw the act.
3 years as a foremost or the biggest indigenous drilling contractor, we benefited immensely from the act. Without the act, we won't be where we are today. And we've taken advantage of that in deploying our assets to work in creating capacity, improving competency of our people, the quality of our assets. We work for the IOCs and the NOCs to provide value.
Without the local content law in the first place, I don't think all of us would be here. And the major part of what they've done is that they've created enabling factors, enabling situations, enabling environments for everybody to actually piggyback on, which wasn't there before. And when it became law, we were able to look at things that were involved in our own industry, or that were part of our own industry, or were enshrined into it in our own industry, in terms of the volumes of cables that needed to be done. And one part of the law that was one key part, and a lot of people didn't notice on day one, but was literally slotted in by the person that actually promoted it, said, I voted. He said, none of you did it. And you've all been here for 40 years and nobody did it. But I'm putting this there to give you something to push towards. And it was only just saying 45 meters, and nobody even made 1 meter. And that being there pushed the goalpost. To me, that was a goalpost mover. And I looked at it and said, that was encouraging enough. It took us 4 years of the law. By 2014, we created the first factory in Nigeria for high voltage. And that changes how you think. If that law wasn't there, that amount of money, because it took $28 million to put such an investment in, and the banks that went into it with us, it was a pioneering project because it made us only the 6th country in the continent and the first factory in Nigeria, but the 6th country in the continent to actually produce that thing.
The exhibition hall was a beehive of activity as companies showcased their potentials to an eager audience, a testament of how the Local Content Act has served as a catalyst for homegrown entrepreneurs to harness the promise the industry holds.
Ariosh is an engineering, construction, installation company. We execute engineering projects, construction, installation projects, and subsea development projects. Ariosh was incorporated in the year 1997, and we started off as an engineering firm, and today we are a full-fledged EPCI company. We started off as a laser scanning company. Then when we started up, we had expatriates doing the job, while we had Nigerians supporting Nigerian engineers, the engineers supporting them. But now, we now have a full-fledged indigenous fleet, personnel manning the laser scanning technology. The Nigerian Content Act has helped us to do away with the foreign influence, and of course, we've owned the technology now, and we're deploying it on projects.
Avian Offshore is a fabrication yard in Nigeria. We are basically into fabrication. We fabricate offshore and onshore structures. We've been in existence since 1999, in 2000 as a South African company, but in 2008 we became Avian Offshore. We have a fabrication yard in Port Harcourt, Rumolumeni, Port Harcourt. It's 33 hectares yard. What we do is we fabricate structures such as decks, we do platforms, we do subsea elements. The Nigerian content law has tremendously helped our business. I mean, I don't even think we'll be here without the Nigerian content law, because it has increased our capacity and our capabilities as well. I mean, before we were just 8 hectares, but through the law we've been able to grow, and also through investments we've been able to go to 33 hectares, and that is also as a result of the Nigerian content law.
Beyond the exhibitions and networking between the stakeholders, the platform provided an avenue for frank discussions, which were aimed at shaping the future of the oil and gas sector.
This is the 8th year of the Practical Nigerian Content, and I think it's getting better every year. The executive secretaries from Ernest Nwakpa through Kentebe to Wabote, they've lifted the standards.
The Nigerian Content Act, as we call it for short, has already delivered the goods. It's evident. I have seen so many people here that historically were just aspiring, both in government, in the IOCs, with the Petan Group, the local oil companies. Today, I see them operating with confidence. I see them talking with confidence. I see them employing fellow Nigerians. I see them talking very confidently with our international partners. I see the international partners feeling confident about giving their work to Nigerian companies and to Nigerians. I see the government more confident in taking risks.
The forum also organized a site visit for participants to better appreciate local content in action. And that's all we have from the 8th Practical Nigerian Content Forum, coming to you from Bayelsa State, the birthplace of Nigeria's oil and gas industry. I leave you with some cultural display and sleek moves from the cultural dinner. I am Kenneth Ibomo.
Our fathers, as they face the unknown tide.